Welcome to InCabin from the creators of AutoSens. InCabin supports the global community of automotive interior specialists by providing a best-in-class event experience featuring an extensive agenda across 2 tracks, expert-led roundtables, and a full exhibition of the latest innovations. Today, we are joined by a longtime member of the AutoSens and InCabin family, Peter Tiberg. He's the vice president of the automotive segment at Tobii. And recently, back in September, AutoSens Brussels 2022, Peter had me in the Tobii demo vehicle. He appeared on my podcast a short time thereafter. So Peter, welcome back. Thank you for the great event in Brussels, the demo, and good to see you again.
Likewise, Carl. Good to be here. And I'm happy you enjoyed Brussels and enjoyed our car. I take a great pride in that demonstration we did. So it was our first time we actually went out in Brussels at AutoSens. So yeah, it was a tremendous week for us.
Was absolutely fantastic. And Peter, with all of the momentum now from AutoSens in Brussels, give us a refresher, Peter. Tell us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about Tobii. Kind of give us an overview here.
Well, myself, I'm a Master of Science, so studied at the Royal Institute of Technology way back. Haven't done much of what I studied. I went into telecom 10 years. I did 2 startups, and then since 11 years, I'm in Tobii.
And with the driver monitoring, when we were in Brussels, Peter, and we were in your demo vehicle, you were demonstrating the eye tracking technology, and it was fantastic because I sat there in the driver's seat and I was looking at the rearview mirror and then looking out at each mirror, and I had sunglasses on at one point. I had a hat on at one point. Pretty incredible experience. Your technology and your experience with eye tracking, Peter, take us through that. Give us your thoughts there.
I mean, Tobii, we started in 2001, and some think we were the first ones with eye tracking, but that's actually not true. There were companies who did eye tracking where you had to actually put in a copper coil into your eye, and you had to sit in a Faraday cage, and you had to detect different magnetic fields. I can tell you that was not a user-friendly experience to do eye tracking in those days. And then Tobii started and was the company that came out with user-friendly eye tracking. You didn't have to sit in sort of with a still head pose. You could move around freely in the head box, and that's sort of how Tobii came about and brought eye tracking to the world. And one of our sort of lead words is democratize eye tracking. Make sure we can get it out there. Now we are in gaming, we are in VR headset, we are in the PSVR 2 headset. So yeah, it's been a journey, and now I get to take that journey into the automotive industry and driver monitoring.
Right. And Peter, in the past, we've talked about the automotive business unit at Tobii as being a blank sheet of paper. So let's go back, let's revisit that conversation. What have you done, Peter, to really adapt your technology and your business for the automotive industry?
Well, we started out and we looked at the products we had. First of all, we saw that there was legislation coming for driver monitoring. We had done a lot of research on new technology, and we saw sort of the perfect storm there around 2019 when the new legislation came. And the research we've done on deep learning also came into perfect fit. So when we were there and we said, okay, our current product that we have in Tobii doesn't really fit to driver monitoring. We could start with a blank sheet and take the best technology at that time, but also then bring in all of the domain competence and the experience from the other 4 business units.
What makes you different than other eye tracking providers, from other players in the DMS market? What sets you apart?
Well, I think one thing is that we come from a history of where Tobii as a company believes that understanding the full stack from the hardware through the system design up to the algorithms and the software and even the experience layer, I think that is where we come from. And even though my DMS offering is software only, I do think, and we see it from our partners and potential customers as well, that they really value the fact that they can have super intelligent discussions around what type of sensors and cameras and compute and how can we make this into the best total solution, because then you can also optimize the total solution cost, right? So I would say that is one thing. The other thing is the robustness of the solution that you experienced in Brussels as well. And finally, the fact that we can actually both innovate and invest across our 5 different business units. So I could take a lot and steal with pride from my fellow segments. And now when we have developed our solution for DMS, my colleagues are coming and taking what we've developed for our other segments in Tobii. So I think those 3 things, I think, are key to our partners.
With the partnership aspect there, Peter, let's talk about your partnerships. What can you tell us? What's the latest there on that end?
Well, we came to Brussels. That was the first time we showed ourselves, and we told the world that, hey, we are here now. We have something that we think is very, very interesting in the industry. And since then, we can give you some examples. We've signed a development project with a global OEM, where we jointly develop sort of, you say, the next generation DMS with input modalities that is beyond only the camera to get an even better driver monitoring experience from the driver and the customers. You could enhance and reduce false positives, etc., by using other input modalities than only the camera. So that's a very interesting project. We've also signed a development agreement with a major tier 1, where we jointly develop their next generation driver monitoring as a POC, so a demo and POC. So I think that's, of course, for us, very important. Then we have another interesting project that we signed, where we're actually going to deliver algorithms for stress and cognitive load. And this is not something that is in cars today, but there is discussions both in your NCAP and in other bodies around the world. How should we introduce stress and cognitive load? And I think this project really makes it possible for us to take many steps towards having these type of signals and these attention signals from us that is probably going to come into cars, not tomorrow, but in the future. So that's some examples. And I think that's amazing for us coming out in September, that we have gained that sort of appreciation, and people see that, yes, Tobii is a company we want to work with.
You had a big impression last year at AutoSens in Brussels and in InCabin. Tell us about the demo that you had, because you did have a line. I was able to get in. Tell us about the demo that you have, in case any of our viewers may have missed it and not been there.
Yeah, it was quite astonishing. I don't think we had any spare minutes during the whole show in Brussels. And maybe getting a bit technical here in terms of, okay, what impressed, because it's mainly people who know this, who know DMS and have tried many different solutions and many different vendors and so on. So I think it gets a bit technical here, but I think once is the fact that we can run our algorithms in any position. At InCabin, we showed 3 positions, and we seamlessly could switch between them without changing algorithms or using the same software. I think that's really, really a strength. But also the fact that we are very resilient to any new type of camera. Typically, if you're changing camera, Tobii does not need to do new, very expensive data collections. We do a retraining of our network, and that's it. So those are, I think, 2 very, very important aspects in terms of keeping down the integration program size and cost. For me, for the tier 1, for the OEM. And if you're having you have a design win where you have 50 different cars and there's slightly different positions of the camera, I mean, you need to be able to do that without any data collections have to be done. And then going on, maybe compute footprint, I think that's important for the total solution cost to keep it down, to make sure that you don't need a lot of compute footprints. So I think those 3 aspects, I think, are really important, because when you're talking about the total solution cost, it's both the per car cost.
So the culture at Tobii, I understand, is very creative, very innovative.
Yeah, I mean, in Tobii, you can be who you want to be, and I think diversity and inclusion is a core pillar of the company. And I can just say I stand for what Tobii stands for, and I'm happy that I'm working for Tobii.
Absolutely. Peter, as we wrap up here, what is next for Tobii, either on the agenda at InCabin or looking forward in the next 3 to 6 months, the next year? What are some things, what are some milestones that you hope to accomplish in the near future here?
Good question. Well, for automotive DMS, so my segment specifically, we have said that we will take a number of design wins during 2023. So, of course, my plan is to start delivering on this and hopefully be able to share any news within this time frame. It's pretty simple.
That's fantastic. And Peter, it's always a pleasure to chat with you and get caught up. And thank you as always for sharing your thought leadership and your expertise. I look forward to seeing you in Phoenix. We'll do this again on site, but in the meantime, for now, thank you for being with us.
Appreciate being able to talk to you, Carl, as well. And looking forward to seeing you in Phoenix.
For more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to the AutoSens YouTube channel. And for more information about InCabin, visit InCabin.com. That's InCabin.com. On behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.